Hello, everyone, and welcome to the channel. I am very honored and pleased to be the inaugural live learning session. I hope everyone is ready and excited for this to kick off. Where do I start? Thank you for signing up for this. I really appreciate it. We are going to talk about how to get started with certifications today. So I am just going to dive into a couple of things up front about this. First off, just a little bit about me. I am an Atlassian customer. So I don't actually work for Atlassian or a partner. I am one of those people who works at a customer in the cybersecurity space. I've been doing this for about 10 plus years at a couple of different places that are customers. Hello, everyone who's coming in. Thank you for joining. I have sort of been an administrator for a variety of things, from on-prem products like Jira Server, Bitbucket, and Bamboo, to what I'm managing now, which is Jira Software and Jira Service Management, as well as Confluence All Cloud Premium. So I've done the array of things as far as managing those sorts of things. I am an Atlassian Certified Expert who holds 8 active certifications and a couple of pro skill badges. So I am very readily involved with the university team, which I think is why they asked if I would help out with this one here. And then you'll also find me as an Atlassian community leader. Primarily, you'll find me in the online community. If you go into the Welcome Center, you will find the community roundups, which I write there, as well as share a video version of it on this channel. But you'll also find me helping out with the All-Canadian virtual events, as well as the Kitchener-Waterloo local chapter. So I wanted to do a little bit about what we're going to be doing. This is going to be a series. It's not just a one and done type of event here. Hello, Aaron. I just see you jumped in there. So when I was asked about doing this, I wanted it to be more than just we do a session and then we repeat it multiple times over. I wanted to turn this into something that I thought people would be able to go back to and refer to multiple times. So for today, we are going to start talking about the actual scheduling of your exam. So by that, everything that you need to know on the PSI portal, tips for setting up your room for being able to write an exam if you do it online, overview of some things if you're going to a testing center. And that's what we're going to cover in this first one. I wanted to do that first so that when you go to write any of the exams, you can always come back to the channel and you can watch the recorded version of this live stream so that you can remind yourself, get a refresher on any of those tips of things that you might need to remember when you're going to do that. So as far as the next couple of months, I will be doing these on the second Monday at 12 Eastern, which is where the time zone I'm in. So it's lunch hour for anyone who's in the Eastern time zone with me. I set it at that time because that allows us to cover hopefully as many people as possible in a reasonable time zone. So in February, we'll be covering the ACP 620, and we will cover a number of those throughout going through the various months. And then June 10th, I had plans on that, but with the changes to the Atlassian Certification ACE standing, I have a plan of what I want to do. We'll see if we end up doing that, or we may do something else. So that one will be a coming soon to be announced later. So stay tuned, and I'll be able to share some news on that in the coming months. Housekeeping for this episode. I know that there are a number of Atlassians and community leaders that are here in chat. I assume that a number of them are probably going to be able to help with some of the questions. Hopefully they will be able to see some of them that I might miss. And I wanted to first thank you all for being here and supporting not only this event, but just the support you do for the Atlassian community in whole. I'm going to be prioritizing questions that have to do with the certification portal and the exams and preparing your test environment first. If you have questions on any of the specific exams like the ACP 620, I would recommend you come to next month's event, where that's what we'll be focusing on, and we can do some deep dives into some of the content for that. But I want to make it so that this is relevant to anyone who is coming here looking for advice on writing the exams and, you know, getting your environment set up for writing it online. And then, you know, if we have time, yes, I will absolutely do my best to answer some exam specific questions. As we are on a little bit of a limited time budget, we may not get to every single question. And I apologize if I don't get to your question. I really am going to try to do that. But if you don't get your question answered, the training and certification collection in the online community is a great place to ask those questions. I'm in there all the time. There are a number of other very smart people that are in there that can help answer those questions. And I will share a link to that at the end of this. So with that, let's dive in and talk a little bit about the concept of you are going to take a certification exam. So I'm just going to switch my screens over here. And actually, I'm going to start with this one here, which is going to look very similar to what I just had. But this one is if it loads, come on. Should load. There we go. Okay. So this is my logged out version. The reason I wanted to show this first is when you go to university.atlassian.com, you are going to be presented with this screen here, which is going to look very similar to when you are logged in. The only difference is this login button. I was planning on showing a bunch of things from a logged out perspective, but there actually isn't much to show because you basically need an Atlassian account for pretty much everything you're going to do. So, based on that, you're going to get prompted with a screen that's going to ask you to log in. Everything else is going to be behind that. So if you have not created an Atlassian account, go ahead and do that. You will definitely want to, if you're getting involved in certifications, you're going to need that anyway. And my one recommendation for getting into certifications is use a personal email address. If you have a company account that is tied to Atlassian Access, your company controls when your account has site access to things like the community. And if you ever leave that company, they can actually deactivate your account, which means you no longer have access to anything you have signed up for credentials. So I recommend having a personal account that is tied to this. That's what all of my community things are currently tied to for that very reason. And then that's just something you don't have to worry about. So let's jump back over here to my logged in version. It's not that much different other than I have a profile that I can fill out. This is also something that's going to connect to the community if you wanted to see what certifications you have earned. So from here, what we're really going to do is we're going to go down to the badges and certifications path. I am going to just quickly show you, we have the pro skill badges, which my understanding is won't be here for very long. The professional certifications are the classic certifications that people will have remembered being available. The associate certifications are the new ones that are meant more for your power users than your admins. And then the certification prep is obviously about getting your prep courses. Clicking on one of these, it'll give you the list of the professional certifications that you can earn. Once you have gone to there, and I'm going to just briefly go over one of the pages, this will give you everything you need to know about a single exam. The pieces we're going to focus on are going to be the certification portal, and then scheduling your exam. Both of those are going to take you to this site here. And if you don't have an Atlassian account, this is where you're also going to need one, because it's going to ask you to log in here. This is the portal that houses your certifications, which, you can go and see what exams you have taken, which, there we go. You can see what I've taken, your digital badges. These are the things that you can share on things like LinkedIn and other social media, for when you have earned something. And then as well as, credentials and standings are the various other things that you have. That's sort of the entertaining pieces here. when you want to schedule an exam, you're going to come down and click the schedule and take an exam button. The last time I was here was for the ACP 520 in August, and they have changed things since I was here last. So instead of you getting a link to the PSI portal, which is what I always remembered, it's now all inline in the certification portal, which is really, really cool. So what we're going to be able to do now is there is a whole bunch of information on the policies and procedures that are outlined here, which is fantastic. The other thing that you can now do is there are test instructions, which are just videos on the in-person and the online experience. An FAQ covering a bunch of things of just the do's and don'ts. And then you can actually go and take a look at what tests are available. And so you can see that, the ACA 900, Jira Software's Essentials. I can see that there is both on-site and online proctored. So if I click on it, it's going to give me an FAQ about this one here. The test instructions are the same that we saw previously. If I am ready to take this, I'm going to click on the continue booking. And then that's going to put me through the various, what do I want to do? Do I want to do the online? Do I want to do the at a testing center? And then if I continue through, it's going to ask me for some of my information. And then when I get to the scheduling, it's going to ask me to put in, I am not going to use my actual postal code, but it's going to ask me for a where, and then it will give me options for the centers that are near me. If I go back, once I can scroll down, you want to go back to the test options and go to the online proctored. This one is going to give me a calendar. Sorry, first I need to just fill in some basic information about where I am. And then it's going to give me a calendar showing me what timeframes are available for me to write said exam from my own home location. So once I have done all of that and I've got it scheduled and booked, then I'm ready to actually write the exam on the date and time that I have selected. The thing that I also wanted to point out, and I will probably make sure to add a link to this in the description of this video, the things that you're going to need to be ready for if you're going to do an online exam are things like performing the systems check. The online certification is going to prepare you by having you install some software that just blocks a bunch of recording programs to make sure that you aren't cheating. So it's one of those things where performing that systems check ahead of time can be beneficial for making sure that the system you are going to write this exam on is set up in a way that will actually help you, or I should say set up in a way that is compliant with what they want you to be using for writing this. I'm going to take 2 seconds and just quickly talk about going to a testing center, because there is a lot less that is involved in that process than there is as far as some of the things that I can provide you as tips and tricks for preparing for online. So when you pick your testing center and you're going to pick a date and time that is convenient for you, you are going to drive to the testing center. You're going to want to make sure you have a piece of government ID, and that's about it, because that's the only thing that you're going to be allowed to bring into the testing facility with you. I would also recommend not wearing something like what I'm wearing today with a hooded sweatshirt. I would recommend trying to wear stuff that isn't going to be suspect of you trying to bring something in if you don't want them giving you a pat down, because some of the centers will do something like that. So I wear just, a t-shirt, polo shirt, whatever, jeans. That's usually good. They'll ask you to sort of just outturn your pockets, and that's about it. They will give you a locker to put everything in. So your wallet, your phone, keys, hats, everything goes in the locker except for your identification and the key to the locker. And when you are ready to go in, they will quite literally take you with those two pieces of things that you're bringing with you, and they will have you sit down at a desk with a computer that is already set up, and there's a whole bunch of cameras on you. Most of them usually have a button for you to alert them for needing assistance. And the idea is that they will get you logged into the test, and then you click the start button, write your exam there, and just alert them when you're finished. You'll get your score immediately on the screen, and when you alert them, then they will take care of closing everything down. You get to go and pull all your stuff out of the locker and head back home. So, in my opinion, if you are able to write at a testing center, I find it a lot less stressful because they have the environment already set up. I just need to show up, write the exam, and then leave. For the unfortunate people who have to do online, and I have done both of them throughout the pandemic, obviously a number of places were closed, but I still did exams anyway. Some of the things, basic requirements that you're going to need to set up, you're going to need a desk that has almost nothing on it. What they're going to want is just a single monitor, and it has to be just a single monitor. You're going to need a webcam of some form with a microphone. You are allowed a single keyboard and a single mouse, and that is all that they want to see on the desk. I would recommend having the camera with the microphone on either a laptop or as something that you can easily maneuver around the room, because they are going to ask you to show them the environment that you are using. So from that standpoint, you're going to need to pick it up, and you're going to need to scan the entire room around you so that they can check and make sure that you haven't hidden any microphones and cameras that are watching you write the exam to try and cheat. They're also going to want to look underneath the desk. If there are drawers in the desk, they will want to look inside all of the drawers. So I would make sure that you have a camera that is easy for you to maneuver in all of those sorts of situations so that you can show them everything, that you're not trying to cheat. The other thing is that you're going to, I think you are allowed a single English dictionary. And that is just from if you are writing this from a non-English speaking perspective, they allow you a dictionary in order to look up the terms that are used. But as far as scrap paper, pencils, those sorts of things, none of that can be on the desk when you write this exam. I'm just trying to think other things that you're going to need to be able to do. So you're going to need to be able to show your identification into your camera, and they're going to take a picture of you. So both of those things need to be things that you can hold to the camera and get a good, clean picture of. While you are writing the exam, they do not want you talking, but they want the microphone on so that they can make sure that they can hear anything that's going on in the room. They would prefer that you are in a closed room that will not get any interruptions. That includes pets, just because that's ambient background noise that can help hide the fact of things that you're trying to do. Just trying to think anything else. As far as the actual writing the exam, it can take a while to get you signed into the online portal, because as much as you are going to take the picture of yourself and your identification, and then you're going to do the room scan, that is just going to put you in the queue to have someone check you in. So it's one of those things where I think you are allowed to log in up to 30 minutes ahead of the actual exam start time. And I would absolutely recommend logging in as soon as possible, because if this is your first exam, the installing the software and making sure that everything is functioning with that, and then getting yourself checked in, it might take half an hour in order to get everything set up and running. When you're actually writing the exam, I would say be mindful of the fact that you are being watched the entire time. So, if you have that tendency to, play with, move your hands around a lot, they don't want to see that. If you talk to yourself when you're trying to write an exam, be mindful to try and not do that. You may get, warnings from the the proctor that, you know, you can't be talking. And I know that that can be a hard habit to break. Um, there are no breaks during the exam, so if you need to hit the washroom, do that ahead of time. If you haven't eaten, I don't know how anyone else is. I'm always super nervous, so I'd rather go hungry and then get food after I've taken the exam when I'm less stressed about it. But you know, if you're the opposite, you know, maybe grab something to eat ahead of writing the exam because while you will have 3 hours to write, that is a 3 hour block that you can't actually stop for anything. The only time I have ever been stopped in the middle of an exam and they paused the exam and told me not to go anywhere is when the proctors were changing shifts. And then that's just on their side that they pause your exam timer, they pause what's going on. And I think it was no more than 2 minutes while they swap things over. As Rodney is suggesting, they will pause and interrupt the flow if they suspect anything. That is absolutely true. I've seen in at least a couple of the exams, I think it was more the beta exams than the live ones, but there are spots for you to provide feedback. I opened up one of those feedbacks and was typing in some notes on what I thought was an inaccurate answer or an inaccurate set of answers for a question. And the proctor paused it for a second, and I was having a chat message back and forth with the proctor about the fact that I am not cheating. This is actually on the exam page itself, and I'm just providing feedback on a question. So yes, the proctors online can be a little overzealous about things. Other things I have run into, when you are setting up your account name, try and use the name that is actually on your identification. For people who don't know me, James is actually my middle name, and that has been a problem in the past where if I don't have ID that says James on it and it just has my first name, I have had proctors that have tried to deny me entry into the exam until I've been able to prove that, you know, I am who I say I am, and, you know, using their own system against them that I've written, you know, 5 other exams in the past couple of weeks. So, you know, why is this now the one that's stopping me? When it comes to your camera, I would recommend making sure it's a relatively new one. The one that I have up top there that people are seeing me on does not have autofocus. So while their software is running, it cannot focus on the identification, which made that a fuzzy picture for them. And, you know, I had a bunch of other complications of just, you know, trying to pull a camera and replace it with one that did have autofocus rather quickly. So there are definitely some challenges to online. For anyone that's your only option, I'm sorry that that's sort of the situation you're in, but at least you have an option. There's definitely the advantage of not having to drive, although I am more than happy to drive up to an hour to try and haven't had any problems with your idea. I mean, yep, it's one of those things where this is an older camera, so it's one of those things where I use actual software on the machine to do the focusing as opposed to the camera having it built in natively. Prefer online. Then you have, I mean, I totally understand the preference to online with some of those things. I can say, Rob, that for me personally, I get the kids off to school and daycare, and my wife is already working at home. So then I just head to the testing center, and it's about a 40-minute drive for me. So I'm able to just go there, write the exam, come back, and, you know, I'm back before lunch type of thing. Process of going through the exam center helps me get ready. Yeah, I agree, Rodney. You're right. It's personal choice. I think there are people who do prefer online. There are people who prefer the in-person at a center. I just appreciate that for the most part, that, you know, there are options available. 40-minute minivan would be nice. Yeah, I mean, there is something about that. So, I mean, as far as the what do I have in addition to this, I don't have anything else that I really wanted to talk about. So I think really at this point, I will just go back here and I'm just going to mention a couple of things, closing things out. I'm going to move it on to sort of questions, but I will say if you wanted to get to the training and certifications section of the online community, there's the link. The live learning chapter is the chapter that this event was posted in. There are a number of other events happening throughout the course of this month and into February as well. I would recommend joining that chapter because you will get a notification every time that a new event is posted. So if you want to follow along with some of the other ones that I will be doing or some of the other presenters that are going to be talking about the various products, be sure to do that. At this point in time, I'm open to questions. So if people want to ask about anything and everything, we can move right on to just a what do you have question-wise about scheduling, writing, exams. I know that there's been some questions going by, and I know that a bunch of people have been answering some of those, so thank you for jumping in there. We've got about 17, 18 minutes that we can just, open it up. If you have questions, you have comments, I am more than happy to answer anything that has to do with the testing centers. Yes, as Joanne is just pointing out, the PSI testing centers are global. They will ask you what country you were coming from and what time zone you're in, and they'll use that to find a proctor that is working within the time zone that you're most readily in so that they have the proper coverage for when you're writing the exam. And that goes to say that I have seen setups where I could write an exam really early in the morning at like 6 a.m. and they have coverage. And that's me in North America. So I imagine that they would cover the other time zones as well. How many weeks ahead when you plan to take your exam do you recommend people scheduling it? Ooh, great question, Rodney. So I will say this much. I am a terrible procrastinator unless I have a deadline. So I am the type of person who will go to the exam page first. And you know what? Let's go back to that to take a quick look there. I am horrible at procrastinating on things. So what I like to do is come to an exam, and we'll use this one as an example, and you're going to see the categories and how much they're weighted, and you're going to get a oh shoot, that has expired, so we'll just reload the page. So you're going to get a PDF here of all the topics that are going to be covered on the exam. And thank you to the Atlassian University team for putting all of these plus links to the documentation. These are fantastic. I look through this first and I say, how much of this do I know? And how much of this am I seeing for the very first time and I've never seen it before? Like when it comes down into reporting, generally I don't touch a lot of reporting, but that's stuff that's a part of this. And then also, how much is reporting worth? It's worth 15 to 20% of the exam. Probably something I should know. Once I have a rough idea of, I'm comfortable with this or no, I'm not, I generally put about 2 weeks ahead of, I schedule the exam 2 weeks from the date that I plan on starting. So I generally try and get about 2 to 3 hours of study time in each night. I try and break it out based on the categories, focusing on the ones that are worth the most first, and then, subsequently down to some of the other things. But I try and give myself about 2 weeks of study time, 2 to 3 hours a night in the evenings. And I know that can be challenging for some people. I've got 2 kids and 2 dogs and other commitments at home. So, it's one of those things where I generally try and coordinate that with my wife on the, this is what I want to work towards. But yes, I try and give myself about 2 weeks to study for an exam that I'm fairly familiar with the content of. If I'm not familiar with the content, this is when I will go over to the university and I will look for courses. And let's just pick on Jira software for the start. And I want to start by looking to see, are there free things that are available for me? If there's free learning things, I'm going to definitely take the free courses first. Why am I trying? Or there we go, free training. This is the one I want. So I'm going to start with the free training, see if there are things that, I don't know about that are covered here, such as, there's a bit on Jira automation. I will start doing a bit of learning, and then, trying to use it in my own time, before I schedule the exam. But when it's go time, I schedule the exam first, just so that I have a deadline, because if I have the deadline and I've got money on the table for having paid for that exam, I'm going to put more effort into making sure that I get the study in so that I can go and write the exam. Sorry, that was a long-winded answer. And I guess the other thing I can mention about that too is, if you are taking any of the, is it worth my time to get a certification even though I'm not a Jira admin and never plan to be a Jira admin? That is a great question, Summer. And I'm going to say this much. The new Atlassian Certified Associate exams, that would be my recommendation for you. The associate exams are not designed for admins. They are designed for power users. And I think that this is a great category of things. There are new exams coming out regularly. So it's one of those things where this is definitely not just you get the single certification and that's it. There's a whole bunch of them that are coming out that all have various specialties within using Jira. So I would say, if you don't ever plan on being an admin, it's not your desired role, consider the associate exams just as a proof of knowledge in a specific area. Are there any test exam papers available? There are some sample questions available with the various certification prep courses. I don't know that there are any test exams per se, but it's one of those things where the way that I use the sample questions is I like to, before I even do anything looking at the certification prep course, I go through the sample questions. So I'll do that on day one, knowing that I have 10 days approximately until I'm writing the exam. And before I've even looked at anything, I just see how well I do on the sample questions. If I score poorly, then I know what I need to focus on as far as studying. If I do well, then the questions that I didn't do well on are the ones that I want to focus on while I'm studying. And if I ace it, which has only happened once in my life, I just do a general review of everything to make sure that I am just consciously thinking about all the topics that I need to keep in my head for when I do write the exam. I guess I could also quickly cover some tips while you're writing the exam. So for most of the professional certifications, you are going to be given 180 minutes or 3 hours to write that exam. In my experience, I have not needed more than an hour and a half. So I think you have plenty of time to write the exam. So if you are concerned about not having enough time or running out of time, just know that you should have plenty of time. I have always flagged questions. And so when you're writing the exam, you'll provide your answer and then you can put a flag on something if you want to come back and review it later. I am very nervous starting exams. So you will see that the first 15 questions I end up flagging to come back and review later. And a bunch of times I actually end up changing my answer. And I'm convinced that some of those that I have come back to later, changing those answers has actually given me correct answers that were previously wrong answers. Most of the exams, and Joanna can correct me on this, for the professional ones are somewhere between 60 and 65 questions, approximately. There's nothing that is going to be 100% this is how many questions you have, but you're going to have approximately that many questions to answer. So I would say just take your time. Make sure that you are comfortable with the answer. If you aren't, flag it and then review it at the end. When you get to the end, go back, review all of the flagged questions or any others you want to review. And when you're comfortable with it, then submit it. For the unproctored, and I'm just going to quickly cover this, the unproctored skill badges, Those you don't need to worry as much about the PSI portal. You literally just pay for it, you take it, you don't need to do any of the PSI setup to get in. It's a unproctored exam. I think there's maybe 20 questions on there. I have not had any problems with those ones, although I don't know how long-lived they're going to be at this point. Do I have any recommendations on... Do I recommend a free Atlassian Cloud site to learn from for the test prep? That is a great question. I don't know that there is a single site that has prep information available, but you can 100% create a test cloud site, and you have 30 days. So I would say put it on premium for 30 days for free. And then that gives you access to a range of the features that you will likely be tested on. You can always, delete the organization and the site once you are done with it. But that is a great place to play around with and experiment with the features. I can't go to the Atlassian certification portal. That might be a question. It's showing bad request. I would possibly check and see if you're able to log into your account, like the Atlassian account, from something like the community as well. That might be just a failure on the where you are right now. I'm not sure why that would necessarily be happening. If you're having account troubles, it might be... I'm not sure if you're on a company laptop at the moment and you might be blocked by that sort of stuff, but as Joanna just mentioned, you could open a support ticket for it. I'm just seeing if I missed anything else here. Don't think so. Is there any free certifications available? To my knowledge, there are no free certifications, but the thing to keep in mind is that when a new certification comes out, it usually comes out at a discounted price. So let's see if I can get here quickly enough. Let's just go back over here. And we're going to take a quick look at the ACP 520, which I think is one of the more recent ones that came out. Here we are. So while there aren't free certifications available, they definitely put them on a discount when they first come out. So it's one of those things where if that's something that's an option for you, that's definitely one way that you can save some money on it. And I can't speak for exactly when these happen, but I know that in the past Atlassian has done a sort of limited time discount on certain certifications. So I don't know if they will do that again, but I don't think there are any free certifications. The one thing that is free is if you go to sort of the Jira fundamentals courses, which I'm just going to see if we can find one here. There are definitely some courses that they're not going to give you a certification. Here we go, Jira Work Management Fundamentals. So if you take this free course here, you are not going to get a certification, but you will get a nice little badge on your own profile. So, you'll get one of these like little badges that you can put on your profile. It's not a certification per se, but it's a nice little nod that says, hey, you've completed some fundamentals on getting started with something. These badge exams are not proctored. That is also true. They're not proctored either. Okay, so that takes care of that. Rajesh, which URL are you wanting me to send you? The URL to the support or something else? Okay. Hang on. I will throw right into the chat. Support.atlassian.com. If you are having troubles with your Atlassian account, that is probably a good place for you to get some assistance with it. All you're using to open is showing bad request. If you can't get to support.atlassian.com, it might be something at with your internet provider or where you are at. I don't know if you're at your office or something, but it sounds as though something's blocking a request at that point, as opposed to things not working on Atlassian's side, because I'm not seeing anything. So are you from Canada? Yes, I am from Canada. I am about an hour outside of Toronto. Yes. The capital. That is not 100% true. It is the capital of Ontario, which is the province. But Ottawa is technically the capital of Canada. Jimmy puts the North in North America. I try to put the North in North America. It hasn't been as snowy here as previously. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Canadian Bacon. Wonderful movie. John Candy was fantastic actor. Okay. If no one has anything else, we've got about 3 minutes left. If you have any questions, you know what? I'll just put that back up again. Be sure to check out the live learning chapter. Join the chapter so that you will get notified of all upcoming events when they come up. There are a number of other sessions that are happening this month. I will be back with the ACP 620 on February 8th. If you think of any questions after you're done here, be sure to go to the online community. The training and certification collection is a great place to ask some of those questions. And with that, and anyone who may have asked if this is going to be a recorded session, it's YouTube, so it's 100% recorded there. It will be added to my certifications collection. It will also be on the lives tab. So if ever you want to come back and get a refresher on some of these things, be sure to just come back to the channel and check that out. That's where I'm planning on having them all sit. So with that, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, and thanks for coming by.